Now, Haji, something just crossed my mind when Mrs. Ogmiye was talking, and I recall that in some cultures in Nigeria, until a family has a boy child, they haven't had a child. The girls don't have any, no recognition, and they're treated like, I beg, until the boy comes. So to such people from those cultures, what would you say to them? How would you value a girl child to such a family?
I run an NGO that primarily deals with the girl children, and to go further, on the indigent girl children, whose number outnumbers every other person. And it's very unfortunate that, you see, we all keep talking, as we started, my friends talking about women. We keep forgetting one point, that it is the yolk of the egg that comes out to make the chick, right? It's still going to be the girl that will become the woman. The woman now will give birth to Obamas, presidents, CEOs, and all you want to talk about. So really, to come back to your question, to answer it, more, to really tackle it, I would say it's still a question of sensitization. And thank God, I as a person would say that we have made some mark. We have really moved from what it used to be, like you referred to. Now you have families that they don't place that premium they used to place so much on it, that a family has to, regardless or however, have a son before they can appreciate the children in a matrimony. So it's still a question of sensitization. It's a question of educating people who are learned, educating them to know what a girl child means to all of us. Remember, I said she is the yolk that would now hatch to be the chick, the woman. The woman now, if she's good,
becomes the hen.
The hen. Thank you, sweetie. She becomes the hen, and the hen, yes, right?
Give birth to Nyota.
Yes, yes, and everybody.
Yeah, Alaja is right. You see, the socialization process, it's very important. And as she said, over time, though the scenario you painted used to be the case, it's still, to some extent,
in some areas,
people,
yes.
in some areas, some people still have
percentage.
Yes, but it's going down
reduced.
because over time there've been a lot of intervention. For instance, the Female Leadership Forum was founded. I was actually looking at my own experience. I didn't face that discrimination as a girl child. I had a father that gave me all the encouragement that I needed to grow up, to be able to explore my environment. And in school, I also had teachers who didn't feel I was disadvantaged because I was a girl. So I think that over time, a lot of people, given that background and that advantage, have taken that as a priority to ensure that we socialize girl children to be their best and not to feel inferior. And why should we feel inferior? Look at even the theme of this year's International Women's Day. Make it happen. If women all over the world, if over, not less than 18 countries have female presidents. We have Selif in Liberia, we have Angela Merkel, we have so many women.
The only one in West Africa.
Yes, the only one in West Africa. And,
at least one.
As she said, in Nigeria, quite a few women, even in Nigeria, are beginning to pick interest and show interest in politics. Though, of course, there have been issues that are not having a level playing ground, but a lot of women are beginning to show interest in politics. That is also a step forward. I mean, we are moving a bit than where we were before. And so it means that we need to move more, but a lot of women are now showing interest, meaning that indeed women can make it happen. And that so the whole idea of women being inferior as it used to be no longer
exists. Okay. Let me just fly a kite. Let me just fly a kite.
Go ahead. Indeed make it happen.
Deola, can you see Nigeria having a female president in your lifetime?
How old am I? I'm as old as Nigeria.
So it's a yes.
It's a yes.
Possible.
But we need to start
working at
from
it now.
When I mean now, yesterday.
We need to work for it. Because you don't get
But
anything on the platter
I
of gold.
remember that to get the presidential ticket for a political party will cost you about 22, 25 million. So, and these are the reasons we found out why a lot of women do not come out. Because the financials are so,
is
I
a
mean,
major drawback. It's a realistic one that we cannot not look at.
Okay,
Now,
ladies, if I may just step in here for a bit.
oh yes, you're here. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a man here.
Okay. We need to go to Nasara to speak to our correspondent, and then we'll come.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, but we need to be winding down.
Okay.
So, please.
This is International Women's Day here.
Yes, ma'am.
We needed more time.
We're not going to
We
take
needed
15
more
minutes
time.
from you.
Okay.
It's a year, the only month that we have. And they're burning issues. We're just scratching the surface at this. We're just scratching the surface.
You see, we have.
I do believe
We have other
we need to
opportunities,
do more.
and you will come to
For
talk
instance,
about
if
the
you look
women.
at even the history of the International Women's Day itself, how it started in the U.S. In 1908, there was a women's strike. The female garment workers, they had a strike. And so the following year, in 1909, the Socialist Party in America, indeed, that this was the month of February. They declared that month of February was Women's Month. And that was the history. And after that, we had the Socialist International. They organized another conference in Copenhagen, and then Austria, Denmark, Germany. Several other countries in Europe now began to organize, conferences around women's issues. And basically, they were pressing for the women's right to vote and to hold public positions. They strongly advocated for women's right to work and also their rights to and freedom from discrimination even at the workplace. And so over time, these issues have also becoming recurrent even in our polity today. And so we need to work at it. And so for Nigeria, for some political parties, they have insisted, a lot of them have even written in their manifesto and their constitution, that 30% reservations for women, but as a legal framework, our constitutions don't have that kind of provision. There is no affirmative action proviso in the Nigerian constitution. And I think that with the right legal environment, more women should be encouraged. And for women, for International Women's Day, and to make it happen, what Nigerian women are demanding is that it is not just enough to say, oh, you have a constitution that supports women, that says women are free from discrimination. We indeed need to see it work.
Okay, Adela, what are the women doing to push the other women who are aspiring for these different positions? What are the steps that are being taken to ensure that the women are empowered? You've talked about the financials, you've talked about opportunities, you've talked about the legal. So what are the women doing now to galvanize?
I think right now, a lot of advocacy is on. We need a lot of advocacy to ensure that we come together to make the difference. We need mentors.
Mentors, male mentors or female?
Both. Because there's nothing a woman wants to achieve without getting the support of the men. We need to get that foundation clear. And that from the men, I'm talking from the homes, from the husbands. I've always said it, and I must say it at this form. The greatest career any woman can be seen to achieve is the career of making the right choices in the men you marry. If you do not have a supportive husband, who is going to be your career?
You will not achieve anything.
You will not achieve anything.
Yeah.
We must know it's no rhetoric. We will stay here today, unless you've chosen and decided not to marry. And you will not be a complete woman. You will not even have the gravitas to stand here and say, I want to talk to you, because you're not well-rounded. Have you gotten that experience to be able to juggle, to balance?
We're jugglers, naturally.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So besides that, we're talking about the support for men. We need to identify men who will be some of our advocacies. To advocate for us, we know they're the ones that are there. But if they see a lot more of us out there, they'll say, give them a chance. Give them the opportunities. We need also media houses who are at the forefront to begin to push this agenda. And I know the vice chairwoman, but I know Cecilia, there are women here who can begin to make a difference. Don't just take your job as here interviewing and posing hard questions. You are here. There's so many of you I know and I admire so well. What are you doing internally to identify the women across Nigeria?
Okay.
We are there.
Yeah, like you've thrown out the challenge, and that is where we're going to have to leave it for today because we have to round up now. So I want your last word, your message to women out there on this occasion of the International Women's Day.
My message is for everybody to come together and have just one voice, because we all have one goal. We want equality. We want to be respected. We want to be loved. We want to be celebrated every day and not just
Once
8th
a year.
of March of every year.
Okay. Mrs. Oguye.
Well, my message to Nigerian women is simple. That yes, indeed, we've had our past struggles. We've made some gains. We've accomplished some things. But there's still a lot to be done. And I think on that, this is the critical point for us to come together and ensure that we take advantage of all the opportunities that lie ahead for the future.
Bella.
Come together, make a critical movement, redefine, regroup, renew, step out, step forward, and let your voice be heard.
Thank you very much. We've been looking at the International Women's Day 2015 with the theme, Make It Happen. We've had as our panelists, Comfort Ogunye, Executive Director of Female Leadership Forum, former President of WinBase, Adiola Aziz, and the founder of Powerful Women of Purpose, Hajia Abimbola Fawehinmi. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a break, a short one, and be back for the home stretch. Please don't go away.